welcome back. And that was latest on Oscar Pistorius' case. And I will still bring you more as the case unfolds. Now, earlier this year, the Inspector General of Police, who marked 2 years in office, said in an exclusive interview published in a previous edition of Chief Detective magazine that he does not reject the idea to have state police in Nigeria. But the right time has not come yet. Joining us now to look at the issue of state police in fighting insurgency is Dr. Lionel Rawlins. Good morning.
In a corner.
Lafiya, hello. Yeah, kake.
Lafiya.
His outside is improving, you know.
No, sure, it's improving. By the day he picks up, and he tends to have this flexibility in the way he kind of make the exchange of the word.
Sure, yeah? It's because today is not Fulani Day.
No, today is not Fulani.
no, last time was. Oh. Next time it will be Yoruba.
Oh, goodness, I'll wait to see that.
But let's begin. You actually welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be back. Good to be around.
Your viewers actually missed you too.
I don't believe you.
Sure.
You might miss me.
Sure I do. I really did miss you. But let's look at the issue of state police. I remember one time we once visited this same issue, and there are a lot of issues around it. Nigeria said they are not ready yet. Even the Inspector General of Police said the time is not right yet. But with the serious case Nigeria is facing today about insurgency, do you think Nigeria should go for state policing?
No, not really. I agree with the Inspector General. It is a lot of, it is more complicated than it seems. To talk about state police coming in or creating it, first of all, you have to clean up the mess that's already created with the current police system that you have. Before you even bring more police and call it state police, then you add in more complications to the system. Plus, police are not really trained to fight insurgents. It's for the military. Or you may have to train a special branch of the police to assist the military. So it's not as simple to say, let's get state police and you're going to get them to go in and fight the insurgents because they're state police. They have to be trained to be able to go into that environment. Policing is policing. They're there to serve and protect. And they serve at the behest of either like in the Western world, in the United States, for example, the governor is the one who is in charge of the state police. That's why you call it state police. Yeah. And you all have some very strange issues that are not like any other country in the world, with the ethnicity, the tribalism, the corruption, and all of these have to be brought under control before you even dump that kind of a problem in there. Because
so you see that being a difficult
it is complicated, more complicated than you would ever know. And that is why I tend to agree with the Inspector General in his assessment of having state police. He's not saying that you shouldn't, and he's not saying that we couldn't.
He's just saying the time is not right.
The time is not right. It's not ripe. It's not ripe enough. But let's look at the time is not ripe enough. When then do we say would be a proper time for Nigeria to start clamoring for state police?
Good question. First of all, you got to stamp out corruption. Because if you don't stamp out corruption and you put the state police to work with a corrupt governor, then the state police will become corrupt. It's simple. It's math. You give more money to a corrupt person, it's going to filter down to more corrupt people. So then the essence and the purpose and the reason why the state police was there in the first place is null and void, is no longer there. And secondly, the ethnic problems and tribalism that is going on. If I am Yoruba, let's say I'm a Hausa chief commissioner of police, and there is a problem between the Hausa and the Igbo, whose side am I going to take? Now, you're supposed to be able to differentiate and to be objective, but it's difficult here at this time to show objectivity. It is difficult for people to become that objective here in Nigeria. In the rest of the world, it's easy because you will get a lawsuit and it's going to go straight to court. And people are not going to put up with that.
Now, all these intricacies are part of some of the things that we are saying that would not make, it's not making Nigeria not right to have a state police. But let's try to imagine the situation that is going on presently now in Nigeria. We have a situation where we have, say, one policeman to 100 Nigerians. If the state police is something that Nigeria is not right for, then wouldn't you want to agree with the fact that there should be an increase in the enlistment of federal troops?
Of course, that is the best way to go about it. Just have a big recruitment and bring them in, induct them into the regular police force, train them well, equip them well, and then send them out there to work in the streets. So you don't have to go, and then at the same time try to clean up the mess. Then you have to worry about the recruitment. The next time they do recruitment, do it properly. Give you a test, you pass the test, you go to work. You fail the test, you stand aside. It's what we do for the security at AUN. We have a lot of security, a lot of people apply for jobs, but before they actually come to work, we give them all a test. They have to be able to read and write and pass the test, and then you come to work. At least you go through the training and pass the training. But you cannot have where a senator knows you and he gives you a letter and you become a police. Those things are what is corrupting and creating the problems that we're currently experiencing in the police department. You have people there who are policemen who really don't want to be policemen. And that is why the word is, and I don't know for a fact that it happens, I hope it doesn't happen, that they tend to run when things get hot.
Get hot.
But I try not to believe that, because I, as a criminologist, I support law enforcement and support police, and I've given them all my support. So I would tend to believe that no police would run away from something that's going on. But the people believe it does happen. Yes. I have to see it with my own eyes to believe that it does happen, because a policeman should not be running away. His job is to serve and protect. And one of the problems that we have is we need to really increase what we call community policing.
Because I was coming to that. I'd wanted to tie it down to the vigilante group you have maybe in a particular community. Some tend to say they are also, the same thing as state police.
Well, that's a good idea in certain aspects, because in certain countries, like in Mexico right now, because the drug lords have overcome and taken over many towns and villages and have found their own vigilante groups. And to a large extent, it is working, because the bad guys are not going in because they know that the villagers are going to protect the village, which is good. The problem is, what is going to happen to them when the war is over and the battle has been won? They're not going to disband their weapons and their training and their skills that easily. These are the ones who at some point is going to say, there's no more work for me, so let me go and create my own gang and let me go and rob people and do this, set up my own kingdom or fiefdom or my own little turf, my own little territory, and start robbing people. So on the one side it's good, because they're going to be there and help to defend the community. But when the battle is over, they don't disband, they don't just go away. Look at what's happening in Libya and in Egypt and all those places. There's the people who helped depose the government. They're the ones now running around with all the weapons and have their own little kingdoms and their own little areas that they say are theirs. And we don't want that to happen here.
Sure.
All right, now we have been talking to a UN Security Coordinator, Dr. Lionel Rawlins, telling us about state police and in fighting insurgency. Now, the discussion will continue right after this break. Do not go away. welcome back. And if you've just joined us, you're watching Safiya Breakfast show, and we have here Dr. Lionel Rawlins. And the topic of discussion is using state police in fighting insurgency. Now, these are two keywords: state police, insurgency. A very vital word this time around in Nigeria. Now, but let's look at the place of private guards that's springing up everywhere in Nigeria. If we could have private guards given rights to operate, why not state police?
Well, the private guards are there to protect the private individuals, private citizens. They're not there to go out as vigilantes or to go out and fight a war for the government. It's for a business, a bank, an institution, a school, a private individual, and they hire their own guards. But then on the other side of it, even though they have security guards, or officers, whatever you will call them, they're not allowed to carry weapons either. So it's not like they're able to go out and take on the bad elements that are out there. Earlier in the break, you mentioned something about must it be that if they were
after winning the war, they can be incorporated into.
Yeah. It's because the money that they feel that they could make is just not there, and they figure they can make it using the skills and knowledge that they learn. The only people who can do that, who can assimilate into society easily and quickly after a war, is the military, because they are trained to be professionals, and you know you're not a maverick out there just killing people for you and for somebody else. You're working for the government. In every instance, ever since time immemorial, anytime you have vigilante groups, they have turned, in the end, into something else. That's how we got pirates, for example. The pirates were hired as, they call them privateers, to protect ships that were being robbed in ports abroad. So they hired these privateers, which were private ships, to protect the ships. And they did it very well and successfully. So when the war ended, or these wars ended, they had nothing to do. So they themselves became pirates. So that's where the word pirates come from privateers. And that's, yeah, so they became, they start robbing ships themselves because there was more money to be made.
Finding the treasures and all that's hidden anywhere.
Yeah, but come to think of it, when we're talking about even the issue of community policing, it's one factor that is heavily lacking in Nigeria. We don't have people really coming out to assist the police in terms of kind of unveiling or revealing crimes or fighting it to an extent. But we have this situation going on in some Western countries where community policing is encouraged to an extent. Now, if we are to adopt the policy of community policing in Nigeria, to what extent would it help in fighting some of these crimes that we see going on?
Oh, it helped tremendously. And that is what you have it here, actually. It's here in Nigeria. It's just that it's not employed the way it's supposed to be. And the same thing in the United States, there was a problem with policing and the citizens, especially policing and blacks.
Right.
Blacks never trust police. Police never trust blacks in America. It's still that way today. But they figured out that there must be something done between the police and the community. So they start sending the police into the community to work beats so they can talk with the people, meet the people, let them know who they are. They set up programs where the police will go and work with the youths, playing basketball, different kind of things. Right. They have swimming lessons, they have music lessons. The police work closely at the schools, and they are a part of the community. In certain states, they even pay the police money to buy a house in the community where they work so they can live there. If there's a problem, you run straight to the police and you get to know the people. Here, you know, you talk about it, but you don't really do it the way it's supposed to be done. And I imagine it requires a lot of resources to do it.
Yeah. But then how does it work? you said we encourage it, we advise it, but we don't, you know, allow it to work. How does the whole idea of state policing, community police, and everything
Well, the police have got to go into the community. They have to patrol the community. They have to live. For example, if you take Shagari, the policemen got to walk around. They have to meet the people and talk to them.
So not necessarily being someone from that particular community or environment.
Exactly. You don't have to be from there. You just have to be there, talk to them. They need to know your name. You need to know my name.
All right.
You need to know who I am. I need to know who your family is. This kind of stuff. If I see you in the street, I ask you, how is your husband? How is your wife? How is your child? How is your dog? How is everything?
No.
So we develop a rapport. So you know how to talk to me and how to talk to you.
Now, that one will lead us to how do you define the trust factor, that factor that would make the community believe in the police and the police believe in them, the trust factor?
Well, that's how it starts. You're not going to get trust just walking in the community and think that somebody's going to trust you, because the police don't trust the community either, and the community does not trust the police. So they have to start a friendship. They have to strike that friendship balance, and after you strike that balance, then there's some kind of element of trust. It's like meeting someone for the first time. You have to develop a friendship with that person before you start revealing things and telling him all about you, and he's going to be doing the same thing. It's a first-time encounter. They have to be able to develop that friendship. Right. And I have to know that you are a good policeman and you're going to protect me if I have a problem, and that if I say something to you, that you're not going to give my name to somebody who's going to come and harass me and my family. So that trust must be developed, but it has to develop in a community level, at the grassroots level, to the extent that you start feeling comfortable enough around me. But you cannot do it sitting in the station house and I'm in my village or town. You have to come together.
That closeness is not there.
It's not there. And you have to go, it has to be in the schools. They have to go into community. I'm telling you, you have to play, even if they don't want to do it. Like I just told you, certain states, at least in California, in the real bad areas, they have now given the police money. They loan the police money to build a nice house in the community amongst the people he works in, so that he's showing them, I'm not afraid to live here with you.
All right.
I'm a friend.
I'm a friend.
The police is your friend.
Let's look at it from this perspective. I know, yes, you've also key into the idea that yes, state policing is not practicable for now in Nigeria. And we have some critics who also feel that the reason why they don't encourage the issue of state police is because of the fact that some Nigerians could capitalize on it and use it to kind of negatively, yes.
That is a big fear, and it can happen because we saw it happen with vigilante groups that help work for governors, for example, and the governor turned around and used these people to do his biddings, and you know, they can, if you have, you can get political assassinations, you can have political violence, because these people, if I'm the governor of any state, and I created a state police, and you're the one in charge, you're the vice to assist them, I think you will support me in the things that I want. So if I ask you to go and do something or not do something, you tend to listen to me.
No, that's the voice of the boss. The boss says it all, and you have to carry it out.
Exactly. So we have to overcome that first. That kind of, in the United States, when a governor serves, we do have state police. Some places call them state troopers. In California, we call them the California Highway Patrol. In New York, they call them the state police. The governor owns them, but when he leaves office, he leaves them behind, and they don't care whether or not he's a Republican or a Democrat. They are there to work, and to work for the state, not necessarily for the governor. When he leaves, he leaves. Right. Here, and in many other developing nations, if I don't want to leave quietly and I want to create a problem, I can say, this election was rigged, I don't believe I lost. So I'm sending out my troopers out there, my state policemen out there to fix the problem for me. And that is a big fear that people have had, and we have to overcome that fear before we even go to creating this state police.
Sure. But briefly now, when is or when? How soon do you see Nigeria having such an initiative placed?
I see it coming soon, within the next 5 years.
The next 5 years?
Yeah, I can see it happening, because once you start talking about it, then
the first step has been taken.
The first step has been taken. And then people are going to start, it's going to come up again, and it's going to come up again. And
the more you talk about it, the more problems you solve.
Exactly. So, and these kind of programs, when people hear it out there, they say, well then let's fix the corruption, let's fix the bias, let's fix the ethnic problems and the communal violence and the tribal violence. And in the end, it will happen, because it's not a bad thing.
Sure it is.
It's not a bad thing at all. It's just, you just have to do it right.
Get it right.
And you got to do it at the right time.
All right. Thank you very much, Lionel, for coming on the show this morning.
Well, I'm glad you put me before. You have two giants coming in here, Bishop McCantor and another one. They'll come to talk, so I'm glad I spoke before them.
We're still looking at it within the confine of how to maintain peace
in the country.
Well, and that's why these gentlemen are there. They're the part of the Adamawa Peace Initiative.
Sure.
And they're two giants of men.
Which you are part of it too. I don't know.
Yeah, but I'm not as big. I'm a small boy compared to them. You know, these are big men.
All right, thank you very much, Lionel. Thank you. That was a U.S. Security Coordinator, Dr. Lionel Rawlins, talking to us on using state police to fight insurgency. Still to come on the show this morning is another discussion with the Adamawa Peace Initiative. They will be sharing their experience at the Tony Blair Foundation Conference in London after the break. Don't go away.